Your players are at the seediest tavern in town, packed around a dimly lit table filled with questionable characters. After their incident in the Queen's Castle, they have a bounty on their heads that could buy a small kingdom. They need coins and fast, so why not play for it? With a little luck and some good rolls, they may be just able to pull it off, or end up even more broke than before. When you have as many dice rolling around as an average game of D&D does, chances are you and your players are going to end up doing a little gambling at some point. There are tons of really fun dice games out there to choose from, but if you're looking for a simple yet exciting game that can be played with just a single d6, let me introduce you to King. In King, the goal is simple. Roll high and be the last one standing. Your players will take turns betting and rolling, and each number has a different meaning for the game. I'll run through the rules, then give you a quick demonstration to see how it all comes together. Without further ado, let's get started. Before getting going, the players decide on how much the bet will be. You're going to be making this bet a lot, so unless your players are up against very wealthy nobles, it probably won't be much, maybe 2 to 10 coins. Everyone bets to start, and play begins with the oldest player as per tradition. Every time someone goes, they'll need to pay the bet again, then roll a d6. Depending on what they roll, they get one of 6 different outcomes, with the goal being to roll as high as possible. So let's go over what it means to roll each available number. A 1 is the worst roll in the game. If you roll a 1, you're instantly out. Any money you've already put in is forfeited. You can only sit back and watch while the other players try and win it all. There's some skill involved in King, but like most gambling games, it is a lot of luck, and sometimes it's not on your side. A 2 isn't nearly as bad as a 1, but it is the lowest score you can roll and still be in the game. Most of the time, rolling a 2 won't get you anything, except in one particular case. More on that in a minute. Getting a 3 means that you have to roll again, and you have to bet again too. String a few 3s together, and you might end up in a little deeper than you thought. There's no folding in King, so good luck convincing the half-ogre you're playing with that you'd like to step away from the table after your 4th 3 in a row. A 4 or a 5 are both decent scores, better than a 2, and you're not out of the game like with a 1, but both are still beatable, because the best thing you can roll is a 6. Once the first player rolls, so long as they didn't get a 1, they're the new king. Their score is the target to beat, and each player will be trying to knock them off the throne by rolling higher. If the next player up rolls better than the first, then they become the new king. If they go lower, or God forbid they get a 1, then play proceeds to the next player. No matter what they roll, they still have to bet first, meaning money will keep getting added to the pot as long as the game is going. This is what makes a 6 so good. The only thing that can beat a 6 is a 2. Sometimes the peasants overthrow the king. If a player ever ties the score to beat, say the king is sitting on a 4 and the next player up also rolls a 4, then they go to a duel. You don't have to bet during a duel, unless the dwarven casino they're at has that home rule, of course, but they both roll their d6 and the highest score wins. All of the same scoring rules still apply though. If they roll a 1, they're out, and a 3 is still a reroll. If they tie again, they keep going until someone is the new king. There is a very small chance that both players roll a 1, in which case they're both out, and the next person up rolls to start play again. Ultimately, there are 2 ways to win in King. Be the last person standing as you watch all of the other players knock themselves out, or claim the crown. If your turn comes up again while you're currently the king, you can attempt to win the game right then and there. If you roll the exact same number that you're currently sitting on, whether that's a 2, 4, 5, or 6, you win the game. If you miss, then you remain king, but play goes on. You can also choose to pass, allowing yourself to skip betting and watch the other players add to the growing pot. Keep in mind, you still have to bet on your roll, so potentially you could end up losing more money by going for it. And if you get a 1, king or not, you're out. Is it a risk worth taking? I'll leave that choice up to your players. One other edge case to be aware of is that there is a chance, however small, that the last 2 players alive will enter a duel and both will roll 1s. Unfortunately, there are no ties in King. Only 1 can rule. So in this case, the duel proceeds until only 1 player is king, the rightful ruler. And that's the game. To put it all together, let me run through a quick game of King so you can see how it all works. I have 4 players in this example. We'll call them Dwarf, Goblin, Human, and Orc. They agree that the bet for this game will be 2 gold pieces, so each puts in their initial bet and gets started. At the beginning of the game, the pot sits at 8 coins. Dwarf is the oldest, so they go first. They pay 2 gold pieces and roll a 4. Respectable, but could be better. Goblin's up next, and unfortunately they only roll a 2. They're still in the game, but they paid 2 coins to accomplish nothing. Dwarf is still the king, and now the pot sits at 12. Human goes next, and they roll a 3. That means they need to bet again and roll a second time. But this time they get a 5, which trumps Dwarf's 4. So Human is the new king, and the pot is all the way up to 16 coins. Orc is very excited to knock Human off their high horse, so they bet and roll, only to get a 1. That means Orc is out, and while they briefly consider killing the other 3 and just taking the pot, they think better of it. 3 players remain, and the winnings are at 18 coins. Back to Dwarf, who pays up the ante and promptly rolls a 5. That ties him with Human, so they're going to duel. Both roll, and while Dwarf manages to get a 6, Human unfortunately rolls a 1. They're still playing by all the same rules, so even though it was in a duel, Human goes from prince to pauper in an instant, out of the game, while Dwarf is the new king. They're on a 6 now, so the chances of Goblin stealing back the throne are pretty slim. The pot sits at 20 coins. Goblin needs a lot of luck here, so they pray to their green gods, pay their gold, and manage to roll 2. Normally that would suck, but Dwarf is on a 6. That actually beats it. Goblin is currently the king, but with only a 2, Dwarf will almost certainly beat it on their next turn. Unfortunately, after paying the bet, Dwarf also rolls a 2. Another duel, and this time Dwarf isn't so lucky. He rolled a 4, while Goblin manages a 5. Goblin is still the king, now with a better score, and the pot is up to 24 coins. It's Goblin's turn, and because he's currently the king, there's a choice to make. He could pass and let Dwarf try his luck, but Goblin is running a little low on funds. He lost a lot of money in an infinite potion scam and desperately needs to win this pot. If Dwarf gets lucky and the game keeps going, Goblin might run out of money to bet altogether. So instead, he goes for glory. He pays his last 2 gold coins and risks it all to claim the crown. But he rolls a 1. Instead of winning the game, Goblin is out. And the last one standing, Dwarf is officially your winner, taking home the pot with a final total of 26 gold coins. And that is the game of King. King is simple to learn, exciting to play, and has just enough skill to make it not totally about luck, though it is still mostly just chucking dice and seeing who the gods favor. Next time your players are looking to bet some coins and have some fun, let them go for the crown. Just be prepared for them to lose it all to get the throne for themselves. Thank you so much for watching the video, and if you do play King at your own table, I'd love to hear how it goes in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a like and consider subscribing to the Bard's College. I make content all about D&D and DMing, so if you like what you saw, stick around. But for now, good luck, and remember, crit your players.